So, quick introduction. This is an interview I did with Maggie Eyre. She is considered probably one of the best networking coaches in New Zealand. So it's networking, but with a focus on why students should be networking while they're at university. So without further ado, let's skip over to the interview.
One thing I've noticed when I've been at uni, I mean I haven't been here for that long, but is there's networking is like, it's not, I mean it's like, it's sort of a general, it's said, but it's not like overly encouraged. I mean, so what do you think is the importance of networking, and specifically as a student?
Well, I think with networking we think business and we think about it, you know, it's marketing ourselves, but it's a lot easier if you just think you're meeting people. You're going into a room, you're meeting people for the first time, you're getting to know them, you know, and you're not thinking, I'm out here to get a job. I mean, that might be your objective, but if you're always on the hunt for a job, you could come across as awkward.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you just take away all of that huge stress, just think I'm going to meet strangers and going to meet people, and networking is just about getting to know each other.
Okay, so let's break it down. So like, okay, so I'm going to a networking event. I enter the room, what is the first thing I should do?
The first thing I do that I recommend to people is look around the room and look for the friendly face. If there's somebody standing on their own, go to that person. They'll be relieved you've actually gone there. Go and get, the first thing I do is go and get a glass of wine or a glass of water, and then just go and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I've singled out the friendly, hopefully friendly face,
the warm face.
The person who's by themselves. So what is like the best way to begin that conversation?
Well, you're smiling as you're talking to me, which is fantastic. Do you go and shake that person's hand? The first thing to do is to actually offer your hand.
Introduce yourself?
Yeah, and introduce yourself, and it's a kind, polite gesture. Then just ask questions. The worst thing you can do when you're networking is to keep on talking about yourself.
Yes, I can imagine.
Ask questions.
Okay, so I've introduced myself. What would be like the? So I need like this.
Okay, you want the formula? Well, I tell you what I do, and I do it with sincerity.
Yeah.
And I love your shirt, and I am interested in colour and fashion and design, and I like your glasses. So often, what I do, and it may sound inauthentic, but for me it feels sincere, is I pay someone a compliment. And I did it recently at an event. At a very formal event, and this guy looked really funky and young and interesting. And I said, I love your style, I really like. And he had like 5 pairs of different coloured glasses, he told me, and we got into this conversation about glasses. We didn't even talk about business till later.
All right.
So for me, I often pay someone a compliment, and that relaxes the person. Last week I met somebody and said, what a stunning Pinocchio silver necklace, where did you get it? You know, so you're asking a question, but you're also paying someone a compliment.
So just go straight into that.
Yeah.
That brings me to another question, is often, every event, in fact almost everything you go, the first question is, so what do you do? Is that a good question, or is that not a good question?
Well, it is a good question, and that's why, you know, I spend a lot of time helping people on their elevator pitch. You know, what do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do it? And it's really important to be able to practice that, so you know that you can have a short, succinct answer to that question. So instead of me saying, you know, I'm a networking coach, I'm a presentation coach, I'm a media coach, I might say something like, I help people shine on the stage. Oh, really? Tell me about that. Well, I grow confidence, you know? So think about an interesting way, using everyday language, describing what it is that you do.
Actually, I'm just going to lead into the next question, because this is a question I've always wanted an answer to.
Okay.
And I've always struggled with this at an event. So you see, scenario is you see a circle of people and they're already talking, you know, they're having their conversation. How do you slickly and politely break into that circle's conversation without seeing like, you know, you're just, because often I try, but it's so hard. What's the way to do it?
And people feel really awkward when they want to break into a conversation.
Sorry.
What I recommend you do is just stand there. You've got your glass of water or your glass of wine or your cup of coffee or whatever, and just listen to the conversation. Eventually people will welcome you in, or somebody will, you know, open up the circle. You know, people are not rude, they're not going to kind of block you out.
Yeah.
But just actually have a presence and be present to the conversation. Don't be thinking, oh my gosh, this feels really, really awkward. I'm dying here.
Yeah.
I feel awkward. And then you'll start to perhaps make a comment, or sometimes what I do in that situation is say, hi, I'm Maggie, please carry on with the conversation, I'm really interested.
Oh, so you can just say that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
or just say, oh, it's so great to hear you talking about what you did for your holiday last week. You know, I also was in Coromandel, but making a contribution.
Yeah.
It's thinking, what can I give to people rather than what can I get out of it?
Yeah.
It's really the mindset of what can I give? You know, if you want to be memorable, really help somebody with a problem or give them something. Don't be thinking, this is what I want. I'm here to get a job.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you because you're the CEO,
Yeah.
you're head of HR, and I can get a job. You've just got to give all that away. It's about building a relationship. Be true to who you are and be warm and smile and stand there and ask questions about them. So you work for KPMG. How long have you worked for that company?
Okay, so you begin with like these
questions,
very sort of simple surface questions.
Yeah, and introducing yourself.
Yeah.
Always tell that person your name.
Yeah. All right, this is another question I've always wanted to know. Okay, so you're at the networking event and you've started talking to this guy and it's gone on and on
and on
and on
and
you
on.
want to leave, but you don't want to say like the very thing like, oh, I need to go to the loo now, sort of.
Yeah. Or this is boring. I'm out of here.
Okay. So how do you politely end the conversation?
Yeah. And look, you have to be polite.
Yeah.
You can't
Gosh.
disempower somebody or knock their confidence.
Yeah.
What I do, and I always go back to what I do. Thank you. Thanks, Jacob. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I want to, I need to work the room tonight, and there's quite a few people I need to go and see.
Oh, that's quite
almost like what you would do in your home if you're hosting a dinner party or friends are just coming around for a dinner. Just taking care of people, and if somebody's talking a lot about who they are and using a lot of academic jargon, for instance, and I'm not an academic, I will just say, now tell me where you live. What part of Auckland do you live in?
Okay.
Or where did you live in Hong Kong? How long did you live in London? Think about what you want to do is establish something that's a common interest.
Yeah.
Getting something in common. So you might pick up that they love the theatre. Oh, what was the last play that you went and saw? Have you seen this television drama? It's looking for things in common.
Right.
So if you play cricket and I play cricket, we've got something to talk about. I don't play cricket.
What do I?
Yeah, it's finding something that you can kind of meet.
Yeah, so you're
common
asking
ground.
questions
Asking
until you
questions.
found common ground and then
Yeah,
sort of begin with that.
And no question is a stupid question. I mean, you're not going to say first off, are you single?
Unless that is a stupid question.
You're not going to say, look, people always ask me, do I have children? Now, I don't have children. And then why did you not have children? You're not going to go down that deep path. You do have to be a little bit careful about the questions that you ask. You're not necessarily going to say, are you gay, are you straight?
Yeah.
There are certain things that are appropriate.
Yeah, use your conversation.
Sometimes I'm a little bit risque and a little bit irreverent.
Yeah.
But I've paid my dues. I'm a middle-aged woman. I want to get to know you fast. So I'm happy. I have had people in the past, a politician actually, say, Maggie, that's a very personal question, and I apologised. A very high-profile politician. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's not to take it so seriously. I think we have to lighten up with this. It's about making people feel good, making them feel comfortable, and not thinking about what you're taking away. Thinking about what you're bringing to the conversation.
Yeah.
It is just a conversation.
Yeah.
And yes, it is about marketing who you are, and you are a personal brand. And people are standing there thinking, oh, I'd like to get to know that person. Or I'd like to perhaps invite that person out for a coffee.
Yeah. So you're wanting to establish that so you can take the next step later.
Absolutely.
As a student, what sort of what's the outcome of doing networking?
Well, first of all,
looking for?
if you're looking for a job, for example, and you want to network because you want to get a job, make sure you have a business card. Have in your pocket a bunch of business cards. Even if you're a student, make up some kind of card where you've got your phone number on it and an email on it.
So this is what I've got.
People
I
know who
always
you
carry
are.
this around.
And that's lovely.
Mind you, this is designed for like my YouTube channel.
That is fantastic. I love that. How cool is that with your photo? Great, because your photograph is on it,
Yeah.
and they will remember you. When you go to a networking event, make sure you follow up straight away. That would impress me,
Okay.
in terms of like punctuality and hiring you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a student, that's what I would be going to
Yeah.
one of these events for, is to meet people,
Yes.
to potentially get the next step, which would be like a coffee or something with, you know, the CEO of the company that you would love to work for or something. And okay, so there's another question. It's like, there's that, and it always happens, well, not always, but often, there's that awkward lull in the conversation.
The
You've run out
silence.
of you've run out of questions to ask. They probably run out of questions to ask. How do you come back from that?
Well,
and is it such a big deal?
It's not such a big deal. It happens in life. It might be, would you like me to go and fill up your water? Or would you like another glass of wine? Thank you. I'm actually going to go now. If you're generally going to go, I'm sorry, I've got to go and I've got another appointment. Or just like end it in a polite way.
Okay.
You know, just.
But if you want to continue it again?
If you want to continue, don't be afraid of silence.
Okay.
Don't be afraid of silence, because you're thinking about the next thought, and you don't want to just fill up that silence with a whole lot of chitter-chatter, nervous chitter-chatter, and then it feels really false.
Yeah, of course.
You are human. You're allowed to feel awkward. You're allowed to feel nervous. And people identify with you when you're real. You know, sometimes I might ask a question, do you come to this event very often? It could be a book club or something. Do you come here very often? Or do you come to these art gallery cocktail parties very often? And, you know, what do you get out of them? Why do you keep on coming back? It's asking those questions.
A few final questions. What would be like sort of your top few tips for young adults like myself, students probably, who realise the importance of networking and they've never really done it before, but they want to give it a go?
Practice networking. Practice it with your family. Say to your family, say to your brother, do you have an event coming up in the next couple of weeks? And he might say, oh, I'm going to the opening of a movie, a festival movie. And start working the room, or just start actually practicing, but beforehand thinking, what's the first thing I'm going to say? Why am I here? What's my intention? You know, have a couple of sentences in the back of your mind so you know what it is. I mean, obviously you're going to say, hi, my name's Jacob. But I think once you start practicing working a room or just going and talking to people, you will build up your confidence.
Yeah.
And particularly even family events, because then you can ask your cousin or ask you know, your sister-in-law, or ask your mother, how did I go? Did I seem awkward? Did I seem relaxed?
Yeah.
You know, did you, when you were watching me across the room, you know, did I look like I was really listening and I was really present, or did I have my eyes diverting around the room? But another tip is work on your presentation skills. Go to Toastmasters, go to a presentation skills class, go to an acting class, so you're actually working on anything to do with your body language, to do with your voice.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your wardrobe, you know, really think about what you're going to wear to that event, plan it.
Yeah.
So not just, you know, scramble and turn up to an event.
Okay. So.
And get the business cards.
Yes. And have your own.
Have your own business cards. Important.
Right.
And I think building up your confidence, but don't wait for 3 years till you finish university.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Go to events now and say yes. And ask friends and family, do you know of any events that I can attend with you?
Cool. That's basically all the questions.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you found that useful. I think a few of my takeaways from the interview was, number one, when you walk into an event, don't go in there with a mindset like you want to get a job. Go in there just to have conversations with people. This is the first interaction you have with people, and you want it to be genuine. And then from that, you might get a coffee, and then you can talk about business. Second is, of course, get a business card. I have found this very useful. I have a business card, and it has saved me millions of times. And number three is, of course, this takes practice. It is terrifying, and there are great ways to practice. Talk to your family, go out with events with them, not to network, but just to practice networking, you know, just to practice having a conversation with people. It's all about practice, 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 people. So, get practicing, and adios.